gentlemen, all rise for the RankKing's court.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, all except the individuals of Ben Simmons and Amber Heard. Welcome.
And Greg Malik.
Great. Oh, no, you're starting bad right now. Welcome, everybody, to the greatest spectacle on the internet that you can always find Tuesdays at 6:30 here on Twitch. This is the RankKing's Court. I am the Rank King, literally himself, Austin Moorhead, alongside, as always, trusted oracle behind the scenes, Mr. Ryan Votash. And we have a guest on the show today. This is not Greg. This
Not
is
Greg.
a different. No, what kind of formation of Greg would this be? Would this be like, we have tall Greg, skinny Greg, big Greg? Like, there's a lot of Gregs that people try to say, like, this is a different form of Greg.
This is normal, Greg.
I'll take
Greg,
it.
Greg's not normal in general, so I'll say, yeah, this is normal, Greg. But yes, we have Alex from DCP Dynamic Character Productions in the house with us tonight. What is up, my friend?
Oh, I'm happy to be here, man. I got you here, and now I got you on my shit. Now I'm here on yours. Is this a crossover episode or what?
You could argue it never ended. It's the craziness that's going along. But yes, this episode, I'm very, very excited because it is the first time in the RankKing's Court history that we are doing a part 2. We rarely do that. We always try to find a different topic, but something happened last week that was so monumental, that happens every single year, that I just can't get out of my head, and we had to talk about it. Last week, we had my buddy Justin on here when we talked about the 220. The numbers are hard, especially when they're
Years are hard.
2022
There you go.
NFL draft. And now that the draft has concluded, all 3 days, they're signing unrestricted free agents now at this point, trying to get them on the team. We brought Alex on to discuss the results, the recap of the 2022 NFL draft. I'm very, very excited about this, my friend. I know. It's like our Christmas special here at Thoughts on the Bench. We love the draft, from Dre's unreliable takes aside from Sauce Gardner to mocks that fly in and out the window from our viewers to us and how we do this. This was such a weird and interesting draft that it took 2 weeks to talk about. That's good. I like
what
that.
a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive, exactly. And everyone who's alive should pay attention as to where Vo is right now, so you can go and enjoy yourself. Vo, where is the RankKing's Court located for you this evening, good sir?
For me.
Yeah, for
just me.
All by himself.
The RankKing's Court is live today from the Union Fitness Studios. Located on the North Shore of Pittsburgh, Union Fitness is more than a traditional gym. It is a place where you can transform yourself inside and out, with a variety of classes based around fitness, yoga, strength, and performance training. At Union Fitness, they believe that it is their duty to hold themselves and their clients to a higher standard. They practice what they preach and uphold the values that make Union Fitness the community that it is. Go to unionfitness.com today to sign up for a consultation. Through Union, there is strength.
Oh, we got it! I didn't have to tell him.
That's a
Favorite guest
true
already.
fan right there.
Favorite guest already. Automatically love it. Someone that actually knows what they're doing. Shout out to all the other guests. You guys are still wonderful, as well as all the viewers in the house tonight. Let's talk the draft, guys. So many crazy things went on in the NFL draft this past week that's honestly, we could argue about this for 3 hours, but we're not, because we know that Bo is an avid Pittsburgh Penguins fan, and there's game 1 tonight. So we're gonna keep this in a time frame for him, so he doesn't.
We'll try. But we should recap your picks from last week. We'll do that.
We should. Let's do it, because that was Justin and I's top 10 was the top 10 NFL draft predictions, and I would say I didn't think I did great.
I think you did. You got 3, maybe 4 right.
Yeah, I'm looking here. So if we would argue in the sense that of the over and under, I put that there will be 4 trades. There were 9.
Yeah.
Which was insane in the first round. I predicted that Trayvon Walker would go number 1 overall.
That's 1.
That happened. So I put that at number 4. The 2 ones that I want to talk about that are awesome, I got right on the betting odds that Jordan Davis would go under his 14.5 projection. And I put that Kyle Hamilton would go over his 10.5 projection. Obviously, Kyle Hamilton landing with the Baltimore Ravens, and Jordan Davis being that one of those great picks of one of our boy here, Alex, who's a livid Philadelphia Eagle fan, that the Eagles traded up into spot 13 to take Jordan Davis. When that happened, I went along the lines. I said, now Howie's not trading up for Malik Willis or anything, right? I was hey,
you can't trust that man. I'm just telling you right now. You can't trust him, which is why this draft just like put all of us through like a tailspin of just like, where did this competence come from?
You're like, is this real life right now?
Yeah, it's like he's been banking on this Super Bowl of a team that he did not truly build, and everyone's like, "Oh, Howie Roseman's a genius," but we see the J.J. Arcega-Whitesides of the world, the Ragers of the world, getting drafted over like Pro Bowl talent, and we're just like, just get us what we need. We see that trade pop up. I'm like, are they gonna reach for a wide receiver because suddenly all the wide receivers are getting taken?
Yeah.
But no, they go Jordan Davis. And I love this idea because what helped us in the Super Bowl was we had our rotation at our D line. Like Fletcher Cox wasn't playing 100% of the snaps. Him, Brandon Graham, Vinny Curry, like they were all rotating in and out, keeping them fresh and keeping them like prime and ready for those like clutch moments. So having Davis there, awesome.
Oh yeah. So we got a comment in from our HR department. Chip, is this a guest or a friend? Just trying to keep score at home. I'd say it's both.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Mark that on your tally, Chip. There you go. So let's not waste any more time, guys, because I think there's a lot that we can dive in and talk about when we go along this. It is time for Radical Ranking number 1. All righty. Let's get right into it. The draft recap, Radical Ranking number 1. These are the top.
Chip said up to 6.
Up to 6. Man, HR is a bully sometimes. That's all I'm saying. The first Radical Ranking of the evening, we are talking the top 5 draft classes. There's a multitude of ways. This is kind of a preview of what's going to be an eventual article. It was supposed to be put out for me on Monday. So we're waiting now until probably, I want to say maybe tomorrow when this drops. We'll say tomorrow it's going to drop live on camera. So now I have to drop it tomorrow. So it's a preview. So I had this in retrospective, wanted to put people in certain positions. The top 5 draft classes, let's get into it. Number 5 for me are the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions made a big pick when they realized that Trayvon Walker was off the board. The card was sprinted in before I think the pick was actually I think before the name was finished. As soon as they heard that it wasn't an A, it was a T, they sprinted that card up and was able to take the Michigan man himself, Aiden Hutchinson, to absolutely dominate in the trenches down there in Detroit. Not only that, but they made a huge splash play, in my honest opinion, when they traded up 20 spots with the Minnesota Vikings, a in-rival team, which I love these in-rival like trades because we never like wonder how they're going to turn out for either side. Detroit won in this one because they moved up 20 spots to take the Crimson Tide wide receiver himself, the number one guy, in my honest opinion, if he is healthy, and that is Jameson Williams. Moved up 20 spots from 32 to 12 to take the Alabama wide receiver. I love this pick so much. I thought originally when they moved up and they had that much capital, I thought, oh, is this Malik Willis? Is it Kenny Pickett? Like, are they going to make their pick for that guy? And I argued that the way that the board was falling, they could have got Malik at 32. They could have got maybe Pickett 32 or Ritter or any of those guys could have fallen to them. So the selection of Jameson Williams now, you put him in a wide receiver group now of Amon-Ra St. Brown and DJ Chark, who a lot of people forget that DJ Chark signed I think it was a 1 or 2 year deal with the Lions. Yeah. So already that wide receiver group is going to be a lot better. Now, granted, Williams may not start right away. There are talks that he could come in maybe like week 4 off the PUP list to see what's going on there. But a couple more picks that I want to touch on. The Josh Paschal pick.
Yes.
Love it. Love it. Edge rusher out of Kentucky. Like, I didn't think that they needed to go another edge rusher since they went Aiden Hutchinson, but they went in a monster in that kid in Kentucky. I'm want to see what he could do. Scrolling through here just so I name the right people. There we go. Other notable names, safety Kirby Joseph, love that. James Mitchell, tight end, a lot of Virginia Tech, love that. And then they took another edge, James Houston, the 4th out of Jackson State in the 6th round. Like, they're not shy about beefing up that edge because it is such a position that they need. Here's a question that I want to point out to you boys right now. We always talk about the landing spots of one disgruntled Baker Mayfield. Do you think the fact that they didn't take a quarterback here makes you believe that they could be in a trade candidate or essentially when he's cut? Now, the only reason I say that is because John Dorsey is in Detroit now. John Dorsey was the one that went ahead and gave the okay to draft Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I would say that's possible then.
Yeah, you can never say never with these things. I feel more it's on the lines of, and we saw it just from the draft itself, the quarterbacks at the end of the day weren't ranked too highly for all these teams, because it's next year that everyone's looking at. Yeah. And I could see it being, we're getting some talent for whoever is after Goff. And if you don't do well again with Goff this year, which most likely will be the case, because I think there's going to be some learning curves for all these guys, even though they're great picks, you could do bad enough to get yourself, maybe Jameson Williams, QB from college, maybe you get Stroud. Like, there's options. Like, I would prefer the Alabama boy because we've seen the track record with Ohio State QBs transitioning into the NFL. It ain't great. No. But the possibilities there definitely for Baker.
Yeah, because we argue a lot of times that we thought maybe before the draft heading in that there were 2 teams that Baker could probably be heading to. And that would be one, the Carolina Panthers. I think that's out the window now that they took Matt Corral in the 2nd round. And the Seattle Seahawks, who right now, their quarterback room consists of Geno Smith and Drew Lock. So, and they give Geno Smith that kind of like Mitch Trubisky 2-year love deal. So I think maybe Geno starts over Drew Lock. And I hate it because I love Drew Lock, coming in from Missouri and everything. I love what the kid could do. And especially when he first brought on the scene of Denver, I said, this kid's going to shock the world. And man, he's been downhill for a lot of years, whether that's just accuracy or just overall play. So Baker in Seattle wouldn't be a bad idea either. But I just had to throw that in there because with Dorsey being in Detroit, that's a huge.
Yeah, that definitely adds to it.
Yeah.
He's the guy that drafted him.
Let's move on to number 4. And I'm going to let Alex speak for most of this because number 4, I have the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well,
so Alex, please take it away. This is your team. Please tell us.
Yeah.
Is it right? Is it should they be higher? I think that you have them properly placed here.
Obviously my bias would be like, oh, they should be number 1, but there's another team for sure that I would rank above the Eagles. I probably would put them like around 3. So 4 is a good call. But yeah, what can't you say? Like they got pretty much all their areas of need outside of secondary, which I think we could still resolve maybe through some free agency or next year's draft. But getting Jordan Davis, and more importantly, like in a thing that's so deep with wide receivers, I think we got the best receiver, and he wasn't someone that could be drafted. We fucking like fleece these people to get AJ Brown, put him on a 4-year, $100 million deal. Dude's earned it. He could be box office in Philly, and oh man, like what's not to say about him? Like it. And my only preface is if he stays healthy, because that's always been his concern. Is he's had his injuries, but he's 24 years old, stays healthy. Pair him up with Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, and then you have Miles Sanders and Boston Scott in the backfield. This is a make or break thing for Jalen Hurts. I will say that puts more onus on him to have to prove that he can improve his passing game. But it's 2 great picks, followed by the Jurgens, who will be Kelsey's successor. Kelsey personally scouted this dude and told Howie Roseman in the front office, like, if y'all have a chance to get him, you need to get him. Like, he plays my style. I can definitely like teach him and bring him up to NFL ready for after this season if I choose to retire then. So it helps us stack our center and guard depth, which we've been lacking these last few years. So that's awesome. Then Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean.
Shock, right?
You had him going in first linebacker, right?
Yeah, that was one of my predictions last week, Alex, was that I had Nakobe Dean would be the first linebacker off the board. And instead, it was his backup of the position, Quay Walker. And we're like, why is this happening? Why is he sliding down? We finally figure out that he declined to have surgery on a torn pec, trying to heal it
Right.
I don't want to say more realistic way, but the more healthy,
More natural.
way. Yeah, more natural way. Thank you. That's better.
You're welcome.
So shut up. So people were kind of like seeing that as a big red flag. And it just so happens that, as a Steelers fan, last couple of days we declined Devin Bush's 5th-year option. And it just so happened that you picked ahead of us for that 3rd round. And I was praying. I said, let Nakobe Dean fall to us. And you guys finally get a linebacker. You get a good linebacker.
Oh my God.
Like that you guys have desperately needed for how long? Like,
since the Super Bowl. It's like our last good linebacker was Jordan Hicks.
Yeah.
And then we let him go because I guess we were just like, we don't want to spend the money on him. He goes to Arizona. Still doing great. Our best linebacker in the past 5 years has been Singleton, which he's been good. But he's not he shouldn't be your best linebacker. Having Nakobe Dean, and we also got that other linebacker, Kyron Johnson, gets us some more depth, some youth that you can actually believe in, which is a change for Philly. And then we also have that Grant Calcaterra, another stash. You can never have too many tight ends in our Philly system, so that's a good backup to have for Goddard. And I don't want to believe that he will be the Goddard to Goddard Selleck, but I think it's good. It's all good things coming from the Philly draft. Only downside is we didn't replace our safety, didn't get a second cornerback, but I think those are small problems that can be resolved.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at it. For instance, speaking ahead of the draft when it ended, you guys were probably one of the hottest teams in the boardroom already, signing like unrestricted rookies to be your like. You guys signed two elite corners that I thought would have went in the draft themselves. Which I believe one of them being Deke's boy, Mario Goodrich. You guys signed him, and you guys signed the one out of Alabama that I also loved. So it's always an interesting retrospective of, do we sign them in the draft or do we wait after the draft? You guys even signed Carson Strong, who did we saw when the quarterbacks were falling, like, okay, maybe this kid's going to be like undrafted, but I thought at least that he had like a fourth or fifth round grade on him. So picking up on that talent alone is amazing. We touched on the fact AJ Brown, 100% the best receiver in like a long time. I would argue top 5 wide receiver if he is healthy. So putting a first round pick on him with Tennessee, that's a no-brainer for me. Now we get to see an offense where Devontae Smith is going to be the secondary option. We haven't seen that. We always saw that he was the first option. Maybe you could argue Dallas Goedert in some occasions, and even maybe some of the running backs. We talk about, what's his name? Because I drafted him and he sucked.
Miles
Sanders. Thank you. Wow, that's a
couldn't get into the end zone. They wouldn't let him pound sand.
Nope.
But he still had a lot of yards. His thing from college, I'm a Penn State boy, so I've been following him his whole career. Always has been his hands. He can fumble, but that's why you got Boston Scott there. This dude who's like the next coming, I feel, of Darren Sproles, and who got to learn from under Darren Sproles. So.
Yeah, we have that, and how many reports came out that actually Kenneth Gainwell is the guy, and I started him in a game, and he had 3 total touches.
He ain't the guy.
True multi-running back systems in fantasy. You guys suck. I'm looking at you, San Francisco. Stop it. Stop it.
Well, they have one less guy in San Fran.
That's very true. All right, let's move on. 4-3. I personally think this team didn't have a lot of needs to fill. You can maybe argue on the defensive side, but man, they had a fantastic draft. All these teams, by far, in my honest opinion, had an A+ grade in the draft. So this is not in a retrospective of, are they A-? These are all A+ grades. It's just in order of those A+ that we're going about. And number 3 for me are the Kansas City Chiefs. They stole a lot of talent in this draft. You could argue, did they need to trade up from 29 to 21 to take Trent McDuffie? I didn't think so, but a run on corners did happen with Kyer Elam being selected by the Buffalo Bills. So you got to think maybe, before that, with Stingley and Sauce going so high, being that 3 to 4 back-to-back pick, I don't hate it. Then you had the George Karlaftis, which I actually really liked. I had him mocked here a couple of times to Kansas City. We argue that his arm length is like the big issue, but the dude's a freak. He can easily be mentored by Melvin Ingram, because I think that while he is good, his talent is just about done. He's about 32, 33 years old. Get Karlaftis in there for young talent. And then the main one that I want to talk about, guys, Sky Moore.
Yes.
Sky Moore, who a lot of people believe would have been the Steelers' second-round pick. We had that little run on receivers. It was funny because I said, of all these picks, there are 3 that I want, and they're all receiver, and that's Pickens, that's Pierce, and that's Moore. And all 3 of those guys went in the second round. Pierce and Pickens went back-to-back from us and the Colts. Sky Moore has that unnatural length of speed, power, that kind of gives off that easily available to replace Tyreek Hill, which is weird because we say like there are no like replacements for like these main powerful athletes like Tyreek Hill, but man, Sky Moore is a close second. I'm looking up the other picks that
he's from New Kensington. Did you know that?
Yep. So yeah, that he had a little bit of ties to Mike Tomlin and the Steelers,
Okay.
which I would have thought like maybe they would have taken him, but I think the route that they went was even better. So then you had Cook also go in the second round, safety out of Cincinnati. They desperately needed to replace the Tyrann Mathieu hole now that he is on a 3-year deal with the Saints. I don't hate it. Go New Orleans. I get it. Like,
Man, I was really hoping we were going to be able to snag him too.
yeah, for real. And then the next 3, I think, are what makes this honestly an A+ grade for me. You have Leo Chanel, linebacker, an amazing linebacker. I would argue, in my point, I think I put him in when we did our positional rankings. I might have put him in for my number 5 or number 6 linebacker. So the fact that they were able to grab him in round 3, along with Joshua Williams, Fayetteville State cornerback, and Darian Kennard, like tackle. Like, there are so many holes that we didn't think needed to be addressed. Kansas City came out swinging. And I think the cherry on top of this is Sky Moore. I think that dude's going to flourish with Patrick Mahomes and the Andy Reid offense. It's all about, can the running backs actually do something? Which I believe they did take a running back out of Rutgers in like round 7. But I think they learned with Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round all those years back that you can wait on some running backs. I mean, they also have multitude of guys, Jerick McKinnon being one of them, that just kind of flourished. Pass heavy running backs, Kansas City easy A+ for me, man. With those selections.
Yeah, it was pretty well rounded, and that's what we're pretty much gonna. It's gonna be on repeat a lot, especially I feel like these next few ones. I don't know your picks, but I have a feeling I know. Seeing these teams actually be competent and pick their areas of need was like sort of what made this draft more interesting, because I feel like the past few years it was a bunch of these like people were taking like the name value instead of actually what they needed, and seeing the Chiefs like who want to contend. They put all that money in Mahomes. You need to be winning. Like you have to be winning right now. So come in with a purpose, get everything that you needed replaced with some youth and some good upside. You can't be complaining if you're a Kansas City person.
No, especially in that division. I mean, I think that's where this is an A+ with those names. I think it's because it's in this division, because you have the Raiders that now have Devontae Adams. You have the Chargers, who are stacked with Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson. You have even the Broncos, who have Russell Wilson now. Just amazing division. You're going to have to get guys that are going to have to compete right now, and that's exactly what they did, in my honest opinion. This one's going to be maybe controversial, and it's because maybe I am a Steelers fan and I refuse to put them at number 1.
That's fair.
But they are 100%. A lot of people swap these two out, 1 and 2. I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens here at number 2. The amount of talent that these guys got by constantly being jumped by people to take Alabama prospects is unreal. I mean, we start off with the Kyle Hamilton selection. I love it. I hate it and I love it. Obviously, it's going to be a double-edged sword for me for all these takes. If I say I love it, I also hate it because I'm a Steelers fan.
It's a good pick for them, but for us, not good.
Exactly. I couldn't for the life tell you what their strong safety's name was, which honestly, it was a great thing that they picked up Kyle Hamilton, because he's now going to be alongside newly free safety Marcus Williams, who they got from the Saints. That secondary already is looking terrifying. Then you have the selection where they traded with the Arizona Cardinals, Arizona sent a first-round pick to them in exchange for Marquise Brown. Dumb. We're going to talk about that later. In order to move back and into the first round, and they take the best center available in Tyler Linderbaum. We at the bench here argue that there are 2 positions in this entire draft that had solidified number 1 guys, and that's Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Linderbaum.
They got
both of those guys. They got so unfortunate already. But then you have the other picks that they made. Let's talk about how the once Michigan defensive coordinator is now the Ravens defensive coordinator. That was all the more reason for them to go in and select David Ajabo, who was a top 10 talent when healthy. Obviously, in that pro day, his last play of that pro day, if you can believe that, when he tore his Achilles, obviously he fell to the second round. It is a straight up shot for them. That is an amazing pick. Travis Jones, that guy's a freak. They're going to love him in the defensive tackle position. And then, which Deke loves to always quote on this, Deke and Greg love to quote this guy's Daniel Falafel, but I love him, Daniel Falele, Minnesota, 6'8".
Oh, wow.
300 some pounds of tackle.
My God.
Good Lord. And obviously they were able to get
You would think
there.
he played defensive tackle, though.
Yeah, for real, you would think, right?
Being that tall, his quarterback's going to have to throw over him now.
And then they finally got their Alabama guy, their Jalen Amar Davis at the corner position. I don't think they really, as much as people think, I really don't think they needed to build up that corner room. It's just that injuries had occurred, with oh, wow, I hate myself right now.
Peters.
What was that?
Marcus Peters, right?
Yeah, Marcus Peters and the guy that's even better than him, which is terrible.
Oh, fuck.
I'm losing. This is bad for me. This is bad.
Oh no, not a Steelers fan losing the faith of Ravens faithful.
No, I both those guys in the secondary that went down. I think a lot of people thought because of that they needed to build up
Marlon
that corner.
Humphrey.
It is Marlon Humphrey.
Yes.
Dude, I'm hating myself for that. I love that kid. He's so good. That they really didn't need to build up. And then obviously you can't have a Ravens draft without drafting multiple tight ends. That's just how they roll. To put behind Mark Andrews and just block. I mean, that's literally – and they even selected – we talk about you being a Penn State boy, Alex. They selected Jordan Stout, their punter, in round four.
Round four.
Round four.
So
that's insane to me. Talk about that.
He wants to talk about that one.
Yes. So second best punter in the draft. I watched all of his games up at Penn State. Dude can boot it like no other. Well, I guess almost no other. But I think what's really good for the Ravens here is he can take some of the load off of Justin Tucker. Like he's one of his best traits was that he was used for everything. He was our punter, he was our kickoff, he was our field goal guy. Maybe, and with the Ravens, he doesn't need to be the field goal guy because he's not as accurate, surprisingly closer to the field goal or to the post. He's very much more accurate when it's like a 45 plus yard field goal attempt, and he can't hit from the right hash for shit. It's something I noticed last season. It frustrated me the holy hell, but amazing punter. He can do the kickoffs instead of Tucker. I think he's very versatile for them. And plus, like, he has amazing hair. Let's also just say that.
Well, you
Gotta have
figure
the hair talk, man.
if he's doing the kickoffs, that's going to save Tucker's leg a little bit.
Exactly.
So more years for him to kick.
Also, their punter, Sam, I can't remember the last name, but he's getting up there in age as well.
Isn't Sam Cook?
Sam Cook. Yeah, I think you're right. Sam Cook, really good punter. I think that they realize that he's getting up there in age, and having a guy like Stout in there can also be great, especially since Sam Cook is most likely in there for fake punts, which I love because the dude up until I want to say it was the last Steelers game, he was perfect for fake punt throws. Like he made I think it was 5 for 6 when that happened. 5 for 6. It would have been 6 for 6 if it connected. But dude was accurate on the throw. So does Stout have an arm? I don't know.
He has attempted a few times.
Well, attempted isn't a great saying.
Well, I mean, like they happened. I think a couple were called back for some a false start or something, but he can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple other names I want to touch on here. Isaiah Likely, tight end at Coastal Carolina. That dude had at one point a 3rd round grade, and he was taken. I want to say it looked a little bit later, but it's in round 4, and that's because they had like 6 4th round picks were the Ravens. Like it was insane. And then round 6, Tyler Batty, running back out of Missouri. You wonder if there's a little bit of concern in that running back room, how just multiple running backs went down with injury. Gus Edwards, I don't believe is the answer. I like what the kid can do in the power run game, but I don't think he's the answer. So it's just to digress. The Ravens had a slam dunk draft. And like I said, even with all these guys getting taken ahead, and it's funny because the Ravens were supposed to go in a different direction instead of drafting Stout until we stepped in. So I'll touch on that a little bit, obviously, with the Calvin Austin trade up. I love that, the selection. Let's go to number 1. This is, I would argue maybe it even puts them in contention. I love these selections. Number 1 of the New York Jets. Wow, what a draft for the Jets. And it's weird to say because it is the Jets, right? Like, we haven't seen a Jets team really be good since Ryan Fitzpatrick was the quarterback when they had Eric Decker as receiver along with Brandon Marshall. So it's weird to think that with the amount of talent now they have, they had 3 first-round picks. One was traded up, but they had 2 to start. They select Sauce Gardner at 4. I would argue that's the best place for him. We touched on this a lot, that Sauce can go to any bad team and still be great. Stingley had to stay healthy and be in a great situation. I think Stingley's in the right place, being that now his top receivers that he has to cover are Christian Kirk, Traylon Burks, and what? Not even, I can't remember. It doesn't even matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He has to cover literally like nobody. Where Sauce has a little bit of a tougher challenge on his hand. He has to cover, the likes of Devontae Parker. Doesn't matter. Or Tyreek Hill, who is now a Dolphin, and Stephon Diggs in the Bills system. I love what this kid's going to do in the secondary under Robert Saleh. Then we move into their number 10 selection. They select Garrett Wilson. I did not think this kid was going to be here at 10. I thought he would have went number They were number 8 Atlanta Falcons. I thought he would have been a Falcon for sure. But the Falcons selected Drake London, who really haven't had that big-bodied receiver since the likes of maybe Julio Jones and Roddy White. So I don't hate the selection. I would think maybe that Garrett Wilson would have been a better fit because of, they don't expect Calvin Ridley to be there next season, obviously with the gambling that suspended him for an entire year, that he was a comp more to Calvin Ridley in that system. But now Garrett Wilson finds himself on the Jets already in a good wide receiver room now with Elijah Moore and Corey Davis. To me, that's a win-win. And then they traded up with Tennessee. Tennessee had the number 26 pick, I want to say.
Yeah, 26.
Yeah, Tennessee traded back to give the Jets that number 26 selection, and they select a guy that should have never been there. He should have been gone 10 picks before that, and maybe even in the top 15. And that is one Jermaine Johnson, edge rusher out of Florida State. We talk about our guys here on the show a lot. Jermaine Johnson was one of my guys, a former Georgia Bulldog that wanted more playing time, goes to Florida State and absolutely dominates, kills it in the Senior Bowl. His stock immediately starts rising. And I said, this kid's going to get talked about as a top 10 talent. Like, he is that good. And he falls all the way to 26.
Was there a reason for that?
No, that's just the thing.
I heard it was speculation was like he didn't interview well with some teams.
This could be the very case. Sometimes with the interview process, yeah.
Some people just aren't good at interviews. The more important thing for me, and I think what the Jets have just shown here, is like, you may have not interviewed well. That's fine. Let me see what you do when you put the helmet on. And
when you're on the field out there.
Right.
And not only that, we continue with, I would argue, one of the more shocker picks in the draft. Their second round selection. They select running back Breece Hall out of Iowa State. Like, are the Jets going to be like a good team this year? Because you had running backs in that system. It's not like you didn't. You had Michael Carter you took last year. He panned out at times, but Breece Hall is the real deal. Like, Breece Hall is going to be that starter in that system right away.
I was about to say the same thing because, Elijah Mitchell was good. Like, he was good. But I never looked at him and was like, he's the guy. Like, if you were looking at a roster and you just put a bunch of running backs up there, be like, who would you start? I wouldn't be starting Elijah Mitchell. He'd be a good, like, change of pace guy. But
are you talking Michael Carter, by the way?
Oh, yeah, Michael Carter. My bad.
You're good.
Bad.
I just wanted to
different names. A lot of names are in my head right now, but you knew who I meant. But Breece Hall, like, I followed him closely this past year. Like, I do college fantasy. I picked him up. One of the best investments I had that season. Dude's a game changer, and I feel that's exactly what the Jets needed. And that literally every single pick the Jets made, it was like they shouldn't have been able to get these players,
right?
But they kept getting them, and I think a lot of teams are going to look back on this and be like, why did we let them get all these people?
Yeah. Last 3 picks, because they only had 3 after that. They ended at the 4th round. They took Jeremy Ruckert out of Ohio State. Didn't have a lot of receptions, but when you have the likes of Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave there in that offense, you're not going to get the ball a lot. But when he got the ball, it was great. They addressed that tight end position because they do have CJ Uzama now for the Bengals on that roster. So that's a good tight end depth. Max Mitchell, I want to talk about a little bit because he tackle out of Louisiana. They were really speculating a lot that their tackle position was going to be in jeopardy with the whole likes of George Fant more or less taking over for Mekhi Becton. Obviously, Mekhi Becton, a great talent. The weight's been there. The injury concern is there, being that he's over 300 some pounds. He's no Evan Neal where he shows it, but it's a great look for them to get Mitchell. And then finally, the edge rusher out of Texas A&M, who, being a Texas A&M fan, I love Michael Clemens. Clemens. I love the dude. I think that he's a surefire, maybe, I don't want to know about day one starter because I think Jermaine's going to take over that position real quick. But Clemens is going to be up there in depth for them. And in my mind, like, I know they ended at the 4th round, but the Jets stole this draft, like, in a heartbeat.
Yeah. I don't know what else there's to say about that. It's like they had a great draft. Honestly, their worst pick was the tight end pick.
Yeah.
Like, is that because he went to Ohio State?
No. I just mean in terms of when they were drafted, what value they'll bring. Like, he's going to be a good pick like that. And that's the thing that I'm saying, like, their worst pick was a good pick because they have been lacking in tight ends. My dad's a Jets fan. Like, so whenever they would eventually show up on Red Zone, we would have conversations to be like, who was the last good tight end the Jets had? And my dad would just look at me and be like, dude, I can't tell you. I can't tell you. We haven't. No. The answer is no. Yeah. There is no such thing. So having Uzama, and now you have Ruckert, who, like, and if Ruckert can't be a good blocker, that's all you need, because I think you have some depth now. If you give Zach Wilson time in the pocket, instead of having to, like, move to side, you now have receivers that can get open for him, big body speed. Jets are looking up this year.
Yeah, I will say that. The one thing I will say is, Vote, it is great to be a Steelers fan. All these people that are, no offense to you guys, I mean, like, I love the ability to have faith in teams that just haven't been well. Like, Steelers fans have never had to worry about that because for the last how many years, but for teams that, like, finish with records like 3-13 and everything, and to have that passion, that's all for it, man. I love it. I love the passion with it. And now, probably that was our longest radical ranking talk we had, but I love it. Let's get into radical ranking number 2. All right, guys. It was hard to kind of find topics with this that, like, we could dive in depth more. So instead of going with the best draft classes, let's talk about the worst draft classes. There are a lot. I am going to give the benefit of the doubt at some of the people that traded for top tier talent. I'm not going to put them on this list because that is a less value of picks rather than the great value. And what I mean by that is some, like, let's look at the Dolphins, for instance. They're not going to be on this list, but they had 4 picks because they traded for Tyreek Hill. So to teams like the Rams, they don't even give a shit about the draft. they're on a whole nother level of talent. And
did they have any picks at all?
Yeah, surprisingly, I think the Dolphins had the least amount of picks in the entire draft. I think the Rams had about 6 or 7, which is still like a lot for them.
Yeah.
I would argue also I'm gonna put them in this category of not putting them, and that's the Raiders, because they made that selection for Devontae Adams. So with that being in mind, let's get into number 5. I don't understand some of the issues with this organization. I feel it's a lot more ownership and managerial based than coaching. Number 5 for me are the Washington Commanders. I liked a little bit what they did at the start of this draft, and that is, in my opinion, Jahan Dotson. You know, as a Penn State boy, Alex, I love the kid. I believe that they could have, with the run on receivers, maybe you could argue, but I think Jahan Dotson was a day 2 guy in terms of like, when I'm saying day 2, I mean like very like first or second round.
So I will say he got the justice that Chris Godwin deserved. Chris Godwin is first round talent, and he's been proving it ever since he's been playing for the Buccaneers. Jahan Dotson was someone who I was seeing like trail into the second round, and I feel like it's the story of, because Penn State didn't do amazing while he was there, even though his numbers were impressive, like his talent's there. I think him being with Penn State hurt his stock.
Yeah.
Because like if you swap him and Garrett Wilson or him and Olave, like you're talking about Jahan Dotson being like a top 5 pick. Like that, that's the difference, because I will argue he has the best hands in this draft. Like the dude will catch literally anything. He's like, I would say like a top 3 route runner in this draft, no matter what the combine says. Like just eye test, the dude's able to find where he needs to go to get the ball. And I will say best pick for the Commanders. He's going to be good with Carson because he has great hands. And I will make the other argument that they're going to lead next season with him being the number 1 wide receiver.
Oh, I don't hate that, because we talk about the whole Terry McLaurin situation. His agent is the same agent as A.J. Brown's, Deebo Samuel's. Like these guys, A.J. Brown already out, so Deebo looking to be out too. I wouldn't put it past people if Terry McLaurin kind of flew the coop.
Is his contract up or?
He was a round 2 guy, so he doesn't have that 5th-year option, and he's looking to be paid now. He wants his money and his contributions now.
Well,
I get it.
I'm sorry. He has the talent for it, and he's had not the benefit. He's had the unfortunate experience of not having a competent QB in his seasons. So I get it from his aspect of being frustrated, but he needs to. I feel like he needs to have one more year to actually prove it, because I feel last year he didn't come to the expectations that a lot of people would feel, and I get it. Heineke's not a starting QB, but as much as I love him, I love Heineke, but I feel like he needs to have one more year where he has a second guy that really show them, like, look at how they're covering me, because they know how much of a threat I am, and now Dotson's getting this stuff. Like it'll be sort of like he's not Antonio Brown, but it's the Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster effect, I feel.
Right, yeah. Like, guy immediately gets covered being number 1, number 2 takes it. I love it. The only other good pick, I would say there's 2 good picks in this entire draft class for them. One, Jahan Dotson being at 1. And let's talk about the first pick in the 5th round. Sam Howell, quarterback of North Carolina. Shocked as an instance of where the quarterbacks were falling.
Yeah.
Kind of started getting diminished. And I was like, where is Sam Howell going to go? And as soon as the Commanders were up in the first, I said, this has to be Sam Howell. Because no other, I would have been shocked if he would have been undrafted, because at one point, Sam Howell was talked about being the number 1 quarterback being selected in this draft class. So, but after that, man, I firmly believe this is Snyder. I hate all these picks because literally he has a weird fascination with Alabama, and not saying that's bad, but that entire defensive line is Alabama. It is Alabama.
They got a running back too from Alabama.
That's true. So I'm getting the vote, but I love it. You're already 2 steps ahead where I'm thinking. Mathis, I think, is going to be decent. I would argue that I think there's other selections I could have made a D tackle other than this, but again, you have the Alabama prospect. And this is the head scratcher for me, was Brian Robinson Jr. And I don't hate the kid. I think the kid's a good Alabama running back, but you have Antonio Gibson, who, as he needs to, like, I get it, man, but he hasn't had the line to where he's been able to do it. And you also, at one point, we said that J.D. McKissick was going to the Bills. They were able to get him back on the Commanders. So you have that receiving back now too. And it just is, it's a weird pick. I don't get it. I think they could have had other needs, obviously being one that we're going to talk about now that didn't get taken until round 7 was corner. They desperately need corner help badly. And they waited until round 7 with Christian Holmes at Oklahoma State. I just don't get it, man. I don't like, and again, I think that's front office. I think that's Snyder being a complete basket case of all. He's going to have to sell the team before the season starts, the way that his financials are going. We talk about all the times where we're like, I got 2 phones, one for the plug and one for the low, but he's got 2 books that are going to send his ass to jail. So I don't know what he's doing here. I feel really bad for Ron Rivera because I know he wants to change that culture, change that system. They got to change everything else before they do that. So yeah, Commanders at 5. Number 4 is an interesting one, and it's the San Francisco 49ers. I did not like a single pick that they took in this draft class. I didn't. Maybe you could argue getting it up here, San Francisco right here. I think that the best pick they had, honestly, was Drake Jackson. I think that that's the best pick that they had. Kind of a value that we say that maybe he was in that category for a round 1 guy. Obviously, with the amount of edge talent in this class, he was going to slide. I don't hate him here with the 49ers, but let's argue after that. Kyle Shanahan's a psychopath when it comes to the run game. If you're a fantasy football owner, don't take any of the running backs because you'll have, they selected Trey Sermon, and he was supposed to be the guy. And then they selected Elijah Mitchell in round 6, and Elijah Mitchell became that guy. So who knows if this Tyrone and Davis Price from LSU is going to do something. He's probably going to be the hot hand for this one. I don't even know. And then we talk about the wide receiver selection. We talked that Deebo Samuel wants out of San Francisco. I believe that he gets out. I don't exactly know what is the case of why he wants out, because him and Kyle Shanahan have a great relationship. Maybe it's ownership. Maybe it's something of the lines.
We said it was the taxes, right?
No, I don't know if that's true.
It's not. You made it seem true last week.
and maybe he sees the writing on the wall. Maybe the 49ers have peaked. Maybe he sees it as sort of just like, that's the, like, and especially when you keep having Garoppolo as your guy, like that's not the guy, and he's not going to be the guy, and we don't know with the what's his name,
Trey Lance.
We don't know what's going to happen with Trey Lance. Like,
yeah,
he could be good, but I feel like that's a project. And Deebo Samuel's great now,
right?
And yeah, he wants to win now, and he's like, can't win here.
And I mean, like, I kept hearing rumors about him and the Jets, but like the Jets aren't going to need him now, and they're not going to need to pay for him. So, but there's going to be plenty of teams that have to be calling in, being like, "Yo, we can take him off your hands. We can give him a max deal, whatever."
There are multiple teams that would easily. I thought easily before the draft there were multiple teams that would have give up at least one of their first round selections for Deebo Samuel. The Jets had an amazing offer, and from what I remember, they said if Garrett Wilson wasn't on the table, they would have went with that trade. But Garrett Wilson fell, so they immediately annexed the Deebo Samuel talk. I think also it's the retrospective of he wants to be a solidified wide receiver. They used him out of that. Now, from a fantasy perspective, having Deebo Samuel last year was incredible because he not only was one of their best he was their best receiver, but he was also arguably their best running back, which is insane. The guy was used out of the backfield so many times. He wants to be that solidified just wide receiver role. And I don't blame him because San Francisco's offense is physical. And that's why we see so many injuries. Jimmy Garoppolo, all their running backs. I could name Raheem Mostert's name off the top of my head.
Debo himself, like at
himself.
the playoffs, like the dude was literally going off plays with one leg and then hobbling off the field. Like I could understand a frustration aspect there because it's almost like not in terms of usage and how the team played him, but you have to think of like a player like Le'Veon Bell, who like the Steelers kept using because he was valuable and he would do so much, and eventually that puts that tear and wear on your body. I could see Devo like looking at that as an example and be like, I don't want that to be me. I want to still be able to go when I'm 29 and 30 and 31 and make my second contract, my third contract.
Right.
And I would see he would be perfect in a place like if they brought him down to like the Chargers or like even Denver, a connection with Russell Wilson, and have Cortland Sutton on one side and KJ Hamler for speed on the other, and Tim Patrick as a fourth. It's like that I feel like it would stay closer to the conference still on what AFC, but I could see some really good places for him to land.
Yeah, I mean, in my honest opinion, I think one of the best places for him to land, it's never going to happen, but for Green Bay. I think that, I love Christian Watson, but like the 49ers have bested the Green Bay Packers so many times that trade was never going to happen. I could have argued maybe the Indianapolis Colts, but I do love Alec Pierce now in that offense with Michael Pittman. I think that's going to be great. Let's talk right now of number 3, because I didn't see any value for this team. And what I mean is that they had an opportunity to take one guy and they went in a complete opposite direction. This guy needs to get out in order for them to succeed. And in my mind, that's number 3 is the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones needs to leave in order for them to succeed.
One of us had them as our biggest reach last week.
Yep. Was that you?
No, it was not.
No,
me.
it was because I picked Chicago.
It was Greg.
Was it Greg?
It was Greg.
But Greg loves. Okay, so this bothers me because they could have taken their number 1 need was edge. They lost Randy Gregory. They had him, and then office management screwed up, and Randy Gregory said, "Deuces, I'm out," and went to Denver for a bigger deal. Jermaine Johnson was there for them. Like, that was the ultimate opportunity to snag him. And instead, I know Greg's high on this guy, but Tyler Smith is not the answer for that offensive line. He's a developmental project and just a penalty fanatic. The dude has accumulated so many penalties over when his starts. It made no sense to me of why you had all this opportunity that you needed to develop the offensive line. Tyler Smith was not the answer. And then we go to their second pick, Sam Williams. Like, I get the dude had talent, but so many off the field issues. It's just, what are we doing? What are you doing as a Dallas? This is the accumulation that I'm glad. Do you guys know that Dallas Cowboys almost selected Johnny Manziel in the draft all those years back? And his son had to talk him out. I was like, no, hey, Dad, that's a bad idea. Let's go with this Pro Bowl guard instead, Zach Martin, which ultimately saved them. Jerry needs out because this is not the right way to do it. Let's even talk about the wide receiver. Jalen, I want to make sure I had the right one. Tolbert out of South Alabama. That's the guy that's going to replace Amari Cooper? What? You have him and Michael Gallup along with CeeDee Lamb. The only selection I will say that I kind of do like is Jake Ferguson out of Wisconsin. I think the tight end solidified needs to happen. Yeah. Dalton Schultz is on that franchise deal. They let go of Blake Jarwin. I like the Ferguson pick, but that's it, man. Dallas struck out for me hard in this draft. Yeah. And I know you as a Philadelphia Eagle fan are like, good.
He likes this one.
Jerry Jones, stay in control forever, my man. Make sure you are. It's like Jerry Jones is WWE. Like, it's the
I could see that.
Like, he wants to be the brand. Like, the Cowboys is Jerry Jones. It's not the players. It's not Dak Prescott. It's not Micah Parsons. It's not Ezekiel Elliott. It's Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is the face, not your talent, but the brand itself is the face. And he has this like senile perspective that he needs to be the owner, the GM. Like, he basically does the press conferences for Mike McCarthy, who's literally just a hand puppet for him. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, he was literally in the press conference, like, after night one, trying to show the sheet that they had for why Smith was such a great pick. And I heard someone on, like, one of the sports talk shows where, like, he probably got that sheet right, like, 5 minutes before they went to that press conference. He's like, oh, look at this. And Mike McCarthy's like, hey, man, like, maybe you shouldn't be showing this. Dude has an ego also. It's like he only likes the players that will suck up to him.
Yep.
And he sees that's like his project. It's his family, you know. It's like who's gonna be good and not cause waves for the family. Tyler Smith may cause waves for the family. Like, they should have traded up to get Lindenbaum. Center is their most important thing for them. Like, ever since they lost Travis Frederick for his health issues, it's never been the same. Like, there's a straight correlation between losing their Pro Bowl center and Ezekiel Elliott's performance.
Yep.
You needed to have a center before you needed to replace a tackle, and I get it. Or a guard. I forget what Smith's labeled as, but
I don't hate it though, because in my mind, Tyler Linderbaum was there. They didn't even have to trade up to get him. Because after, I think Baltimore was the one that swooped him up and took him. And I think they realized, like, okay, well, if he's there, we'll take him. Linderbaum needed, I would argue, like, you're right, interior offensive line or edge should have been the position. And Tyler Smith, although labeled before the draft as an interior offensive lineman, is trying to transition to tackle. But in my mind, I said this when I talked about Trevor Penning. The talent's there, but the penalties, the constant penalties, you need to win now. That will keep you from winning now are penalties. And
that ain't happening.
And if there were two teams that were worse than Dallas Cowboys, let's get into it, because I didn't think I needed to put them on here. But number 2 are the Arizona Cardinals. What in the actual hell are you doing, Arizona? Number 1, I get maybe this is in more of a perspective after the DeAndre Hopkins news dropped, but they said that this trade has been in place for a while, which means that they planned on trading a first-round pick for Marquise Brown. Look, I love Marquise Brown. I think the speed's there. I think the athleticism is there. A first-round pick?
You think, like, second round should be what they...
I don't even think that vote.
No?
Amari Cooper went for a 6th.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said this. I commented on you guys while you were doing your draft stream, and I said, yeah, everyone should. The Eagles gave up less overall to trade up to get Jordan Davis and trade for AJ Brown. But like, you literally just made a trade that said, like, oh, AJ Brown, Hollywood Brown, they're both Browns. Like, it's the same thing. Honestly, I just think Hollywood Brown is like trying to work his way west to eventually land in LA.
Yeah,
so that he can actually be Hollywood Brown, and that'll be great for his branding or whatever. Like, I think that's my theory of the draft for that night.
Yeah, no, I don't hate that select. That's pretty good, actually. In my mind, Marquise Brown is a bigger Rondale Moore. We saw how Rondale Moore is not doing well in that offense,
which is a shame, because he's so good. Like, I had to watch Rondale Moore like torch so many Big Ten defenses. Like, it wasn't funny. Like, the dude has supreme talent, and I feel like they were just misusing him. I'm hopeful for them that with Kirk gone, that Moore gets to take Kirk's spot and be that burner, because he can torch a secondary.
Yeah, that is the selection. Then let's get into their needs. Like, I would argue, I get with the whole like trading your first round pick. Your top 2 needs in this draft, in my honest opinion, were edge to replace Chandler Jones and corner. Number 1, they didn't go corner until round 7. They selected Christian Matthew at Valdosta State. I don't even know if that's a place. And then your number 1 pick was Trey McBride? Tight end? What? Listen, I love you. You know, because Zach Ertz is in that system. You know what he can do in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that they had found the answer to their tight end problems with Zach Ertz. But now you bring in another offensive weapon to keep Kyler Murray happy with Trey McBride. Now you're taking away stats from Zach Ertz. I get it. He's the best tight end in this class. Should not have been Arizona's first-round pick. It should have been Edge, and I get it. Those 2 picks were addressed after with Cameron Thomas and Najee Sanders. I get that. Not good.
But your first-round pick. Like, I'm sorry. Trey McBride wasn't going to get taken in the first round.
Oh, no, he wasn't. Yeah.
Like come on. Let's be real here. Like, you have to understand where you're drafting. And like, honestly, if I'm Kyler, I'm still saying, like, y'all, I'll play through this contract, but once we get to that final year, I'm out. Like, send me somewhere else, please, and thank you.
Yeah. And they had multiple opportunities in my mind to take. I'm not saying that Keontae Ingram from USC as a running back is a bad running back, but I had how many mocks of them being the team to draft Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker, or I love James Conner. You know, Vo and I know this as Steelers fans. Like, James Conner was a great story and everything for Pittsburgh, and he had double-digit touchdowns at Arizona. You needed another running back because now, his backup is in Miami. So I get that. But Ingram, I'm not necessarily high on why he was taken, but corner needed to be addressed here. The edge should have been the first pick off the board because Chandler Jones was such an impactful player. And that's another name for when we talked about why Kansas City needed to get great, because Chandler Jones, again, is now a Raider. Like, it's insane, man. But I don't know what Cliff Kingsbury is doing. We've never seen him really draft high on the defensive side of anything because he has such that offensive mind, being with Patrick Mahomes and everything. It's so weird.
It's honestly just so weird seeing this coach, for some reason, getting to have a lot more leeway than other new coaches.
Right?
Like, the dude was like, when he got signed, I was so confused because I was just like, okay, college coach. I look him up, I'm like, nothing that impressive. So I'm like, they must see something in him. And then I have to still believe that because they're giving him so much rope. Yeah. So much rope. And it almost feels like they're picking him over the franchise. Like, they're picking him over Kyler. And it's like, I don't know. There's 1,000 Cliff Berries or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care.
It is funny that there's 1,000 of Cliff Kingsbury's, and there's only one of these guys. And as great as he is as a coach, he is probably the worst drafter I have ever seen. And number one, it's the New England Patriots. Their draft was absolute trash this year. Number one, Cole Strange, a round 3/4 guy in the interior offensive line, selected at number 29 overall. Listen, Belichick does this all the time where he takes small schools, he takes guys that he thinks he can develop into great projects. I've watched how many edge rush clips of the pro day and everything that they had. Cole Strange is getting bodied by almost every single edge rusher that is going in. So I don't know what the hell was going on there. Then we go to the second pick. Belichick has proven this. He cannot draft wide receivers at all. And he selects Tyquan Thornton ahead of the likes of George Pickens, Alex Pierce, all of these guys. I get it. You need a burner. No, you don't. No, you don't, because Tyquan Thornton, I get Baylor. I get he was decent there, and he floored everyone with his 40 time. And I think that's what Bill saw here. And, man, John Ross III, that's all I have to say. That's all I have to say about
My God.
It makes no freaking sense. Just looking here through all their their other selections. Apologies, I know I hate not being at the right place at the right time. New England Patriots. Okay, then you get Marcus Jones, 2 corners back to back. Marcus Jones, Jack Jones.
He's building his own game of Jones.
Yeah, I know, right? Alex, for context, Bo at one point had a fantasy team for us where he picked everyone with the last name Jones.
Aaron Jones, Marvin Jones,
everybody.
Everybody.
I think there was maybe one person that didn't have Jones as their last name.
Yep. And let's talk about I like Pierre Strong. I do, but again, you already have a competent running back room. I think I loved Ramondre Stevenson and what he was able to do when he had the ball. But with Bill, it's the next. You had who is he? Jonas Gray, who had 4 rushing touchdowns and 200 yards, and the next day he showed up to practice and he was cut. So it makes no. Bill doesn't care about your needs of the running back, and then the biggest head scratcher, and I don't want to say because I think this is a good pick in terms of not being the other guy. Bailey Zapp, quarterback out of Western Kentucky, went ahead of Sam Howell. I don't know what Bill sees here, but I would have been very mad if Sam Howell would have went to the Patriots because I think Sam Howell has the talent to be a great starter eventually. Right. I think Bailey Zapp is there so they can finally be like, all right, Brian Hoyer, hit the road. Same with Brian Hoyer for so long. The Patriots, it's funny how the last article I put out last year of their draft class, the Patriots were in the top 5, I think, of their draft class. And this year, they're at the very bottom in 32. It makes absolutely no sense to me.
He wanted it to be strange. That's why they took him.
Oh.
He knew he wasn't going to have a good draft year, so he's like, might as well take him.
Well, everybody thinks that they have a good draft year, and I guarantee you Bill Belichick is with his dog somewhere feeding it biscuits because the dog made the picks, not Bill. I don't know. This whole thing is stupid.
Do you think he cares?
No.
Honestly, at this point, I feel I feel almost like he knows he's done. And it's nothing against Bill. Bill's always going to be known as one of the best head coaches to have coached in the NFL. I think people put too much in the story of was it Bill or was it Tom? I feel it was pretty much a mix of both, especially early on. I don't think Tom develops the way he does without having Belichick as his coach.
Right.
But I think there's already been reports that he may be seeing the end of the road finally.
Yeah.
And you're developing Mac Jones, and Mac Jones is gonna have some fun this year, I guess.
It is going to be a huge letdown when I don't see Bill looking like he didn't shower in 3 weeks, go up to that podium and be like, oh, well, we just we didn't know we were getting the game plan wasn't the right game plan. We gotta think better. It's just whatever. Let's get to one of our most exciting aspects of this show. Radical rankings out the window. It is now time for the great debate. The great debate is simple. We did predictions last week with the top 10, and this is my question now to you guys. What is the biggest season prediction now following the draft? I think this could go in a million different directions, probably scale into the multiverse, and there still would be options there for us. But what is the biggest prediction in the 2022 season now following the draft? Did our friend Forager send you the draft order?
Let me check. I don't think he did.
Probably
no,
not.
He did
He's
not. No.
He's a bum. He's probably working, idiot. So let's do this. Alex, you are the guest. I will let you decide where you want to pick, and I will tell Vo where he's picking next.
You know what? I'll go second.
Second? All right. I think that's the moral high ground of it. Vo, I'm gonna have you go third because I got a big.
You don't want me to steal yours.
If you, yeah, definitely, you're gonna steal mine. And I'll go first. And honestly, it's a controversial one. I love it. I love it.
Love controversy.
I have full confidence in this based on how they drafted. I firmly believe the New York Jets will finish second in the division.
I should have went first. I thought I could hold on it.
Listen, we talk all the time on like New England and Mac Jones being there. Then you have, Buffalo firmly holding. I believe Buffalo takes that division in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But then you get into conversation where Miami, that they have Tyreek Hill. Unless Tua is throwing a bunch of slants, he ain't throwing the deep ball very much. So I believe that the Miami Dolphins maybe take a step back. And I think with the draft class, I know it's the Jets. But Zach Wilson finally, I believe, has some stability. I believe this is their year to finally kind of break out of that, New York mold, right? Where like the New York teams just have not had success. I firmly believe the Jets will finish second in the division with Miami falling behind at third. And then, obviously I think New England and last. I don't know. It's a tough road, but I'm saying the Jets finish second.
I love that. The one for my dad that actually get to have a season where he can be proud of his team. It's been a long time. I think probably whenever the last time Mark Sanchez got them to the AFC Championship, which, my God, how did this man get people to teams to the AFC Championship? Well, it was the defense, but besides the point.
Fumble, man. That's all I need to say.
Oh, yeah. But I love that. I think the Jets, I was going to say the Jets are going to be one of the wild card teams this year. They're going to make that jump. I see the talent there. I feel like the talent's real. Everyone had that big question of, is Corey Davis going to be legit? I think he will be legit in this system. I think the head coach is a coach that I feel more people should trust with his philosophy and his style in the locker room. I feel the team is behind him, and I could see that definitely popping them up.
All right. Well, now that you would argue what many teams did at the Baltimore Ravens jumped ahead of you, Alex.
Oh yeah.
Where are you going with your biggest season prediction?
Well, I guess I should just bring it back to my team, my Philadelphia Eagles. Hey, it could be a safe prediction, but NFC East for the last decade plus has never had a repeat division winner. And that's going to
they haven't. Wow.
And that's going to continue. That's my prediction. And the Eagles are going to win this division. I think Dallas takes a step back. Nothing against Dak Prescott. Dude ain't worth the money that he sat out for. Ezekiel's going to take another step back. Their defense did not improve, so they're going to still be penalty ridden. And their cornerback can get all the interceptions that he wants. Everyone's still going to throw his way because he can't guard for shit. And sorry to the Diggs family, but it's just real recognizing real here. The Eagles, I feel, are going to take that step. I want to fully believe that Jalen Hurts is going to show the world he deserves to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, and they're going to make it to playoffs. I'm not going to go as far as say they're going to the Super Bowl, but I want to see them fully show that we can win a division.
We Steelers fans say that every year.
I believe when something will go wrong, it will go wrong.
That's true. Very true. Yeah, you could argue because I love Jalen Hurts. Had him in my fantasy league last year as a quarterback. Absolutely. Same. It's weird how his numbers reflected Lamar's in his rookie year and just how great they were, and everyone's like, nah, Jalen Hurts is a bum. I'm like, Lamar had arguably the same numbers. What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
But I love him. And then Vo, we get to yours. I always love your predictions, man, Vo, because they're so off the wall sometimes. What you said, you had no confidence in the Houston Texans.
Yeah, in the whole draft.
Dude, I had them as a top 10 draft class. Their draft class was so stunted. But give me your prediction.
There's Foreigner right there.
Oh, hey, welcome.
He said, hey, boys, hope the show's going well. I was passed out trying to get over being sick.
Well build a better immune system, nerd. That's all I have to say. No, we love you. Vo, what's your prediction for the 2022 season following the draft, bud?
So we kind of hit on both of these earlier in the show. You brought up Baker going to Detroit. So I could see that happening. I'm going to go with Debo Samuel to the Ravens.
Oh, I hate that. Fuck.
I hate it, but it makes sense because they lost Hollywood Brown. He fits their offense. You said he's a receiver, but he can also be a rusher. So with Lamar throwing the ball, that offense, it's scary, but I can see that
and
happening.
the thing that bothers me is that Debo, he doesn't have Marquise Brown's speed, but he does have the speed there to catch a deep ball. We saw that how many times with Garoppolo just tossing it, hoping that Debo was down there. Man, I hate that. I don't hate your prediction because I think that could very well happen, but I would hate to have to cover Debo Samuel as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. That would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Lamar, like, if you put Debo in there, like, yeah, you could try to have Debo do the burners, but I'm always someone who's like, if you could just get big physical guys, and if you don't trust your quarterback's arm to be a deep thrower, you can trust with good talent to be a mid thrower, short pass, and let those talented wide receivers do their thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you can't just trust on the fact that Mark Andrews to throw the ball to, because there's some games where he's just AWOL.
Like triple covered. Like it's just insane how much he's covered.
Exactly.
I don't hate that because, obviously being a Steelers fan, but I hate it because I am a dynasty Mark Andrews owner. So it is a pain at the very latest. All right. I love those predictions, boys. So what we're going to do, go to the restroom, get a drink, freshen up, because right now we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back as we do our top 10 ranking of the evening. Stay tuned.
Let's dive right into sports, as I have strong opinions on that. Which college team could beat a professional team in the same sport right now?
Okay.
There is not a single answer that is better than the LSU Tigers defeating the Cincinnati Bengals.
Even if I know the pitch that's coming, every other part of me is still normal.
That's why it's frustrating for me, Greg.
It's like okay, if I know what something is coming, I know ahead of time, I still have to be able to do the action to get the result that I need.
Okay, so they won 3 games in 10 years with 3 rebuilds.
I don't lose at arguments.
Especially about fast food, so yeah.
You will never walk alone. Guess what? Now you will. Coronavirus.
I barely touch my girlfriend's cat. The most I'd be willing to do is like just kind of put my finger on its forehead and just like.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, with us is Alex Kazor from Steelers Depot.
We are live with Ryan Smith, professional cornhole player in the ACL. Ryan,
what all franchises were you able to work with in the NHL?
With Phoenix, Carolina, and Detroit.
No.
So here is Moorhead's ranking. Moorhead is my cousin. He is the rank king.
Higher
Top 10 extra Power Rangers.
Oh.
Okay. This is the top 10 emo songs of the 2000s.
There's only one correct answer for number 1. Why is F is for Family better than Futurama when Futurama is like Star Wars for potheads? Like
I know. I think
we have one or two that are mad in the chat.
You're welcome for that.
Alright, we're gonna get banned.
Okay. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you are enjoying the show as much as we are. Draft talk is always through the air. We love it. What we're going to do right now, the format is always as it is. Alex will give his 10. He has a top 10. I have a top 10. He will give his number 10. I will give my number 10. And we will domino effect from there to see who has the better top 10 list. We'll put those on social media at the end of the show, and you'll be able to vote. Right now, let's get into it. Alex,
Yeah.
you're number 10.
Yeah, so a lot of this was just like, what did I find fun about the draft? So like at 10, I had to do a plug for my alma mater. My number 10 is 8 Penn State players were drafted throughout this weekend, and they were the 4th highest amongst all colleges for drafted players, most in the Big Ten. So we beat Ohio State this year, which is great.
That's
honestly
always good.
Some of the people that got drafted is
surprising. Though, how do you feel about that being a Pitt fan?
I don't know, but when Ohio State and Penn State play, I hope both teams lose. Like, I don't know. I don't really root for anyone.
Honestly, that's fair. That's fair.
All right, I'll go. And apologies, these are the top 10 craziest draft moments. I didn't put that title in there to start the show, but that is what it is, the top 10 craziest draft moments. For me, my number 10, it's a burner. I hate it, but I love it at the same time because it's a perfect fit. Number 10 is David Ajabo becomes a Raven. I knew that if he wasn't going to be selected in the first round, somebody had to have jumped ahead of the Ravens in order to get him, being that the Michigan defensive coordinator is now the Ravens defensive coordinator. They have that Michigan connection. The only good news is that he doesn't have to play right away, being with that Achilles injury, but he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I hate it. I absolutely hate it, but that is my number 10.
Honestly, I would feel bad for him too by being drafted by the Ravens after you just watched last year, like half their team going out with ankle or injuries. I'd be like, yeah, I don't want any part of this.
All right, what do you got for your number 9, bud?
My number 9 is Cheeky Boyos. That I feel bad for the person who got drafted with that pick, because the only conversation from that pick that I was seeing was just that the TikTok comedian people try to do the 2 kids in the trench coat, and no one truly knows what happened there.
Yeah, I don't. Was that pick worse, or was the orangutan pick the worst? Like, honestly,
was this in the first round?
This was in the round 2. This was
see, I didn't see round 2.
This was round 2 or round 3, but yeah, they came out in a trench coat, and the top guy just fell off, and all you heard from Rich Eisler was, "Oh my goodness!" Like, I think it was I think it was a stick. I think it was.
I hope it was a stick, but I almost feel like they were supposed to do it in the trench coat the entire time, and then the other dude just like went with it.
Yeah, it was a scary moment because I thought the dude actually broke his neck or something, but it was between that and the orangutan pick. The orangutan making the draft pick were probably like the two, like, what the hell draft moments, because it was supposed to be Pat McAfee, and he was like, well, the orangutan made the pick ahead of me. It made no sense. That was a weird moment. Number 9 for me was running backs find unusual homes. And let's say this right here. I am talking primarily in the top 3. So we have Breece Hall, who found a home on the Jets. Never in my life would have had said that Breece Hall would have been drafted by the Jets. Then we get to the Seattle Seahawks, and they take Kenneth Walker III. That is a huge push for them, especially since I made this point that Seattle was going to be a run-first team. It's odd with the Charles Cross selection being the number 1 pass blocker, but you have Kenneth Walker that immediately can come in and, in my honest opinion, be the number 1 running back. I know Rashawn Penny had a little bit of a surge last year. Chris Carson, listen, I have Chris Carson in Dynasty. I'm hoping I can trade ahead for someone because I have the 12th, considering I won the Dynasty League last year. So I'm trying to get into that number 2 spot and take Walker so I can have him as like my handcuff to Chris Carson. And then the 3rd, Isaiah Spiller finding a home with the Los Angeles Chargers behind Austin Eckler, who I also have in Dynasty. It's a weird thing, right? Like, because Austin Eckler has had his injury scares. You've had the likes of like Justin Jackson and as the backup for him, and they drafted a running back last year, I think in like the 4th round. But Isaiah Spiller has talent. So I'm wondering, what does this mean for the likes of Austin Eckler? Because the kid out of Texas A&M can ball. So those top 3 found homes that I never would have suspected. And that's what the draft's all about. It's all about unpredictability. So,
yeah.
What do you got for your number 8, Alex?
My number 8, I wanted to give a shout out to Chris Angel, opening night 2 with his like escape attempt. Like, he's done it at other football games as well for the Raiders, but it was just cool, like them fully going into the Las Vegas theme of it all and having a magician come in and do that act. It was, I rewatched it a couple times. It was crazy. It would have piqued my interest to actually see it live, just to see it fully in action. But yeah, I just had to make sure I gave a shout out to it because I thought it was a cool way to start the second night.
You guys want to talk about weird? He came to the draft last year, and you know what he made? He made the top 3. He made his top 3 picks in next year's draft. Do you know what they were? Trayvon Walker to the Jaguars, Aiden Hutchinson to the Lions, and Derek Stingley to the Texans.
No way.
No way.
I'm saying he got it 100% correct from last year.
Not even just the 3 players going. Like he picked
the
3
players and the 3 teams. I don't know what happened, man. Like I saw that from last year's draft as a replay into this one, and I said, "No freaking way he did that!" Like it's crazy, man. Magic. I love it. Number 8.
Did they have him predict next year?
No, I didn't see it. He probably could have. He probably could have. He already did better than Mel Kiper, so it doesn't really matter.
That doesn't do much.
No. Number 8 for me, we touched on this already. It's Bailey Zapp getting drafted ahead of Sam Howell. Look, I know the system fit well that Howell ended up in Washington, but again, we talked about Howell at one point being the number 1 quarterback in this draft class, and Bailey Zapp goes ahead of him.
Yeah, weren't the Steelers looking at Howell?
Greg would like to tell you that, but I don't think Howell was ever on their radar. But Greg will tell you different. So that is my number 8. I listen, Bailey's going to be a great backup. He's not going to be a starter. Sam Howell's going to be a starter someday, hopefully. So Greg will not lose sleep. But I digress. Alex, your number 7.
My number 7, the ode to you guys, Steelers fans reacting to picking Kenny Pickett in the first round. The whirlwind I saw just from you guys and from the internet in general, going through it almost felt like the 5 stages of grief, but you guys stopped at acceptance, and you're just like, oh, he could be great, or bargaining. You're like, he could be great. He could be great now. I have Deke was just like, I'm now fully on board the Pickett trade. He's gonna do amazing for us.
I was shocked at this pick. I'm a Pitt fan. I love Pickett, but I didn't think he was going to be there. And if he was there, I thought the Steelers were going to pass on him.
Yeah, it's funny how we always talk about, Alex just being the 5 stages of grief. I firmly believe right now that Kenny Pickett, I talked myself into it. Kenny Pickett is the right pick, I think, for us. And Franco Harris kind of gave it away when he was just like, oh, I love this. I'm like, no, shut up. Because we can't hear it during the live because we mute all the TVs and everything.
I had mine muted too, and I was like, I wonder what he's saying right now. And then it popped up Pickett, and I was like, no way. I was like,
yeah, I couldn't believe it. And Deke made the great argument of when is the last quarterback that we took that did well? It was Ben. And Ben already had established talent. He really didn't need to be developed. What are the quarterbacks that we took since? Dixon, maybe, Landry, Jones, Mason Rudolph. All those guys were developmental projects. And we have a hard time. I believe that we can eventually develop the right quarterback, but I would argue maybe how we would have developed Malik Willis if we would have taken him round 1. And a lot of the times, people are like, you needed a guy that could compete with the likes of Joe Burrows and Deshaun Watsons and Lamar Jacksons. So automatically, I think we as fans take for granted athletic ability sometimes. Some say that Pickett has hit his peak. His peak right now is that he could open and start right for us right away, which being the backup. So I don't hate it. It's funny how my number 1 prediction last week was that Malik Willis would be a Steeler. So kind of came back to bite me in the butt. But I firmly believe
you had me thinking that. That's why I thought they were going to pass on him.
Yeah, I firmly believe that eventually through the 5 stages, I do think we made the right pick, though.
I feel like, is he going to be a star? I don't think so. But he's going to be one of those people who I feel like has a high floor now from that having that extra experience at the college level now. Like, I feel like that gave him some more confidence going into this year.
Yeah,
So I feel like he's like, if you were looking at him from a fantasy perspective, he's going to be one of those high floor, but maybe a low ceiling type of QB. But hey, we've seen teams make playoffs and make deep runs with an average QB. All you need is someone who you put him up there and you're like, can he be capable? And picking someone who can be capable.
Yeah, he's a hard worker. Like Ben was never like a superstar quarterback. He just battled it out.
Right.
So, and they witnessed Pickett, his practices, his training. They're with him every day, basically, same facility. So they know what they're getting.
Yeah, I will say that. And coupled with the fact that the dude has all the young athletic talent around him, with Najee Harris. We took George Pickens. We took Calvin Austin. We have Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool, Pat Freiermuth. Like, we have young talent that the kid can develop and be around with. So I'm more or less on board with this pick now. So I digress. My number 7 was a shocker, at least for me originally, and that's the Lions trade up 20 spots to take Jameson Williams. I know we talked about it already a little bit, so I won't dive too into it. But when you move up 20 spots and you give up that kind of capital, everyone under the sun thought this was either Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett, because that's kind of where, like, you would make those blockbuster trades for your guy. And I hate to say it, Lions fans, you guys knew this at the start. Jared Goff is not the answer. He is just not. So the fact that they went with the Alabama wide receiver is huge, because now they get a premier either number 1 or number 2, depending on where you want to put Amon-Ra St. Brown. You have TJ Hawkinson in that offense already. You have DJ Chark. So this offense is shaping up well. It's just, like I said, can the quarterback play? I really thought this was either Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett, which is why it's my number 7.
Yeah, I will just say before we move forward, I'm a huge Amon-Ra St. Brown fan. I was in a draft last year where, like, we were getting close to the end of the draft, and I was like, I just want to I usually save those for, like, someone I'm going to put a flyer on. Be like, no one's going to think about it. Let me draft him. If he's great, awesome. I'm going to look like a genius. Amon-Ra St. Brown was that person for me last year.
Yeah, that was with our dynasty draft. I know we talk about it. I traded my first round selection for a guy for 2 of his seconds, because he had 2 seconds. Now, he ended up taking Elijah Moore at 6, but I wrapped around and I took Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think I won the deal. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, number 6, Alex, what do you got?
Yeah. Some goofiness here for at least from my side. I get pleasure when analysts have to, like, try to sound like they're having a fun time explaining how this person's good. And it was NFL Network trying to hype Cade York as a good draft pick. Rachel Hudson, they're like, show the tape, and they're like, and he's just going, and look at that. Look at him kick that ball. And these are, like, exact words, like, almost exact words. It was like, oh, look at that kick. And look at it go through the uprights, and the official putting his hands up to show that it was a field goal. Like, those were, like, almost verbatim the clip that I got from K York getting drafted. I was just like, wow, you could literally care less about a competent kicker getting drafted.
Kickers, like, I get it. I mean, I think they got taken up a notch because of the Evan McPherson pick in the 6th round by the Bengals. So you have all these punters and kickers that are getting taken in the 4th round. Now, Cade York, is he Georgia or LSU? I know
he was at LSU.
Okay, so I know that Tampa Bay, I think, was the one that took the first kicker off the board, and they took him, and that was the kicker from Georgia. I'm trying to remember his name off the top of my head.
Yeah, I forget his name, but I know who you're referring to.
Yeah, but Cade York, that makes sense as an analyst. You're like, look at him kick that ball. That ball looks real. It almost sounds like John Mann's like, you know who had a real good wedding?
Brett Favre. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's like, give the kickers their respect, especially, like, I would say, like, people who drafted the punter side, like the Ravens, like, you need to realize how important ball placement is. And, like, you need to have competent kickers. Like, you can't just be like, I'll pull to the Jets. The Jets for the last several years have just been, like, waiver wiring through kickers and punters. And I'm just like, you're not going to be able to win close games if that's your strategy for kickers and punters. Like, you have to, I'm team, give kickers their respect.
Yeah.
the brand.
Vo, you looked
For the
disheveled
brand.
recently. Did something happen, Vo, or with the hockey game or anything? You looked
Yeah, I think
disheveled.
Penn just got scored on again.
Oh no.
It's
Oh,
2-0.
I said maybe it's a cop, but I said game 5 and then 5. But I'm hopefully that the Pens come back. I know you're keeping tabs on that and doing this, which is why you're the best producer that anybody can buy.
I'm clipping that.
You need to, because you won't ever hear me say it again. Number 6
Hey, my light turned
is
off.
a no. Number 6 is a tribute to you, Alex, because it is the Eagles. Number 6, Nakobe Dean and Jordan Davis landing on the same team. Dude, I said from the very beginning, Jordan Davis was a stud. Anybody that took him was going to be great. You have that rotation now with Fletcher Cox, and Fletcher Cox can't play forever. So having that, and then obviously the whole Nakobe Dean sliding to the 3rd round is bonkers enough. I get with the like initial effect to have surgery and everything, but you guys now have a great linebacker, and they're both from Georgia. Like that is a steal for you guys.
Absolutely. You guys were doing a like a pre-draft, like one of your pre-draft podcasts or streams about it, and I was actually in one of them, like in the chat, and I was listening to it, and you guys were talking about the Eagles, and I was like, the Eagles' biggest need is defense, and we just saw a ton of we just saw Georgia's defense, and I said on there, I was like, if the Eagles don't leave with 2 Georgia defensemen, I'm like, I won't be happy with this draft.
Look at you.
That was my one call. I called my shot, but that was when we were originally thinking we were still going to have 3 picks.
Right.
And then it went down to 2. I was like, okay, maybe I can step off that a little, but we still did it. I'm thrilled.
Oh yeah, for sure. And now we're halfway through. So number 5, Alex, what do you got?
Okay, we're going to the Vikings. Ooh. And there was it was some controversy with this dude, Ed Marinaro. Marinaro. Dude comes up, starts giving his freaking life story to the point where the hook is literally being pulled on him. They had someone come up to tell him, like, can you just say the pick? And he starts getting to a fit, like, no, I won't say it. Everyone's having a good time as everyone's booing him. Everyone's just like, we're like, this isn't your Hall of Fame speech, bud. We want to know the pick. But it was just like insanity.
Dude, I can't even believe he brought up Blue Mountain State.
Really?
He was the guy that played the coach in Blue Mountain State.
Oh, okay.
He's like, I have to believe there's some Blue Mountain State fans here.
Like, why are we bringing this up? Make the damn pick. It's when the one woman came across. That's what she said. She wants me to make the pick. Make the pick, Ed. We got a whole day we got to get through here. But that was, and we never saw him again.
No,
he's probably like laying in a ditch somewhere. Honestly, they probably like. I love it. Number 5 for me. We touched on this. My disdain for it. Number 5 was Marquise Brown getting traded to the Ravens, to the Cardinals. This is dumb. First rounder didn't need to happen. They're trying to make Kyler Murray happy. Maybe when DeAndre Hopkins comes back, this is good. But for me, this is bad. Yay, 2-1. Yay. So that is my number 5. It's trash. Marquise Brown to the Cardinals. We move on to number 4.
I would be remiss to put this off the list because I'm someone who loves a feel-good moment. And it was the Make-A-Wish kid getting to announce the Giants selection of Kayvon Thibodeau. And just like his enthusiasm throughout the entire thing. Dude was amped out of his fucking mind. And I loved seeing a kid who truly cared about doing that. It was so cool to see.
We talked about it on the show. We were like, because we don't have the volume up, we don't know. And we're like, who is this kid? I'm like, he's cool. Like, why is he coming out? We don't like to make the assumption that when kids come out, it's for like a Make-A-Wish Foundation thing, but that ended up being the case. But the kid had the biggest energy out of everybody. So much so that he like hyped up. Like you think Kayvon Thibodeau was excited before. Mm-hmm. As soon as the kid he was like, ah, just going absolutely ape shit. I was like, wow. I was like, I want to know this kid. This kid's awesome. Find his TikTok account. Do everything. This kid's awesome. Kayvon Thibodeau's hype. Dude, I love that. Like I said, it was an incredible moment to see. I would think that like that would be a Make-A-Wish like thing like that we would do. Being in a war room would be awesome, just to see how everything transpires. I love that. My number 4, it's no secret. Again, a pick I disdain. One of the biggest head scratchers of the night of round 1 was Cole Strange. Strange enough. It's not Doctor Strange, but it is strange. This pick sucked. Bill, you suck. Stupid. Move on.
Number 3.
Yeah, number 3. But before I go there, that missed my list because I was gonna put McVay's reaction to the Strange.
Oh,
God,
yeah,
that was
so funny.
But I ended up being a homer.
I guess we didn't have to scout him.
Yeah, he's like, he was supposed to be there, like, pick 100. But, okay.
So funny.
But I had to be a homer and put my Penn State thing in there, and I'm totally okay with that. Number 3 was another fun moment, and it was Sauce Gardner going the wrong way in the draft room. It was just perfect. Like, you literally have the security people there laughing at him as he finally figures out, oh shit, I'm literally going the wrong way.
Well, number 1, there should be people back there to tell him like, okay, this is the direction.
No, like one of those security guards should have literally just turned his head and be like, dude, other way.
Yeah, like, but we made the comment during the live draft. We like, well, Sauce is good. Dre, your corner can't even find the right way to the podium. How's he supposed to cover all these elite guys? Shout out Dre. We know Sauce is awesome. All had him as their number 1 corner in the draft if Stingley was not healthy. It's funny how we say the McVay talk with laughing. I would be remiss if I didn't put the Jalen Reagor selection in there with how Minnesota reacted. And they were, as soon as they saw that pick, they're like, ha! And they put in the Justin. You guys could have had Justin Jefferson. I'm sorry.
We could have, dude. I told you all before we started. I was like, the fact that we didn't draft, we could have an Eagles team that had Justin Jefferson and DK Metcalf.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about now where A.J. Brown is an Eagle. Could have had Justin Jefferson and A.J. Brown. That's a 1-2 punch.
There's so many combinations we could have had, including Devontae Smith in there. So it's just like, what could have been? Howie decided to be competent this year.
That's true. My number 3, you've said it already. It was one of the biggest shocks as a Steelers fan, and that was Kenny Pickett getting selected. 5 stages of grief, yes, but like I said, I do believe that we made the right pick. The kid's ready to start now. He's a little bit older, a little bit more mindful than some of the other guys in this draft class. Kenny Pickett, put him in there. Steelers, gone to Super Bowl. Here we go.
It's Pickettsburg.
Pickett to Pickens. That's a thing I'm not saying. All right, top 2 selection.
Yeah. These will be pretty quick because we've touched on both of them. So number 2 was for my dad. I had to put it up at number 2, and it was the Jets deciding to draft nearly perfect. And I was in awe of watching how they decided to draft this go around. And they literally went from like a bottom feeder team to a like, oh, they could actually get a wild card spot and actually maybe do some upsets here. So like that, I had to throw that up at number 2.
I don't hate it. Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Tremaine Johnson, Breece Hall. That's all I'm saying.
All you need to say.
All you need. My number 2 is another hit to you, my friend, and that is nobody saw this coming, and that was A.J. Brown getting traded to the Eagles. I know that there were talks that A.J. Brown wanted a new contract. They did not want to pay him. Titans fans, you're idiots. I'm sorry. You had people like cheering that, Tennessee got a 1st-round pick. There was the clip of a guy with an A.J. Brown jersey cheering. And I was like, joke's on you, idiot. You just lost your number 1 wide receiver. Stupid.
But it's okay. They drafted the guy who's compared extremely to A.J. Brown. Oh, everything will be fine.
No, listen, Treylon Burks, I like the kid. The guy that we had on for our one draft talk kind of got in my head a little bit of his comparison. He compared him to Laquan Treadwell, who did not succeed well in the NFL. So Treylon Burks has that ability. It's just like, do you want your number 1 receiving option to be a rookie? Obviously, Robert Woods is there, but I digress. This was bad by Tennessee. They got swindled out of A.J. Brown. So, and we get to the climax. The number 1 pick, Alex.
Yeah. My number 1 pick, we've talked about it several times already. It was the Eagles deciding to be competent drafters for the first time in a long time.
You can tell you're happy about this one.
Oh, loved it. Loved it. Davis, I feel him getting to have a year learning under Fletcher Cox. Like, what more could someone in that position ask for than to learn from one of the best of the modern era of defensive tackles? So perfect there. Obviously, the A.J. Brown trade speaks for itself. We get this the successor for Kelsey potentially and Juergens. We get Nakobe Dean as a steal in the 3rd round. We get another tight end. We get some other, we get Kyron Johnson. Nothing to be upset about. Howie Roseman decided to shock all of Philadelphia and be like, hey, look, I actually can draft and scout talent.
Very true. If you can't draft a receiver, you can always trade for one. That's what I'm saying. Although Devontae Smith, still up there in terms of talent. My number 1 is simply this. It goes along with my pick that I made last week. And that's Malik Willis gets selected in the 3rd round by the Tennessee Titans. Man, you could tell by the reaction of this kid. He's walking along with his friends. He finally finds out. Dude's crying in tears, just immensely impressive with how Tennessee handled this. They traded up to get him. Not only that, but they didn't let Ryan Tannehill know. And that speaks volumes because everyone could probably argue this. Tannehill lost them that playoff game. And now we find out that, all these different things have come out. Malik Willis could potentially take Tannehill's job. And, man, you have Malik in that offense with Derrick Henry, Treylon Burks, Robert Woods, Austin Hooper. He sucks, but that doesn't matter. There's so much.
To be good.
Yeah, he used to be with the Falcons. Couple honorable mentions I want to list here, guys. Real quick, I have 2 or 3. My one was Pickens as our 2nd round pick. I remember because Bree was sleeping on the couch over here, the love seat, and draft is going on TV, and I see that we picked Pickens, and I jump up, I'm like, oh, let's go, yes! And she woke up, she's like, oh, what? And I'll never let her live that down.
That's kind of what happened with Pickett. Morgan was sleeping. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, they took him.
Just the entire I'll say the first 4 picks of the Steelers draft: Pickett, Pickens, DeMarvin Leal, and Calvin Austin sliding in there to take away from the Ravens, who the Ravens ended up drafting Stout because they were so taken aback that the Steelers that they were able to get that selection. Desmond Ridder going ahead of Malik Willis was another one, and he finds the perfect system in Atlanta, under Marcus Mariota. Eventually could take that job, I could say. Falcons draft as a whole also was good. Drake London, Arnold Ebiketie, obviously out of Penn State. So many, those are mainly mine. The other ones I had covered, but this draft was amazing. It was honestly quite possibly one of the most unique, but also one of the most entertaining. Jordan Love, you still suck. I don't care what anybody says. You're a nerd. Or as we said last night, biggest dorks in the NFL. Jordan Love, you're a dork. So right now, before we end the show, we're going to give Alex a little bit of time to plug what he does, what he brings to the table in terms of entertainment. So Alex, right now, the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, so I'm someone who, like most people, even if they are in the closet about it, love reality television, love reality competition shows. Me and a group of my friends, and one of them being Austin's brother Ian, we run this game network called Dynamic Characters Productions, where we run Survivor style games, whether it's a one-day mini format where you do a whole season within a day, or we do a long game where Austin has competed in both. It's like 39 days. We film all of it. We turn it into episodes. We put it on our YouTube channel at Dynamic Character Productions. We have all of our social media under DCP_org. So go check us out. It's good content. And hey, we currently are looking for applications for our next mini. So if you feel like you are a big Survivor fan, you want to play, go apply. You'll find it, the link for it in our social media. And as well as if you like Survivor in general or MTV's The Challenge, I podcast with Survivor legend Johnny Fairplay, who also is a TNA legend, for those who can go that deep into wrestling lore. And I podcast with him and another Survivor contestant, Matt Bischoff, about Survivor and The Challenge. And thank you for letting me plug.
Oh, of course, man. Listen, from one entertainment section to another, the more people that we get involved in everything, the better. I'm going to have Deke convinced to do a Survivor thing for you guys, because I can tell he wants to, but he
wants to. I know he wants to. Deke, I know you're listening, or eventually you will be listening to this. We will get you. We will.
He's coming for you.
Speaking from experience, the Survivor orgs that these guys do are exemptional at that. Production on is incredible. Everyone is always on point. They're fun. They are chaotic. So if you love that little bit of fire and chaos that I crave in society, because I'm a psychopath, I firmly enjoy all of it. I enjoyed the mini that they did. Just one day, honestly. That's all a mini is. You know, if you have the back strength for it, I know sitting on a couch all the time can be difficult, but it is wonderful. The long game itself, you meet the most wonderful people, and it still talk to a lot of those individuals today. They are great. And, you know, even speaking from someone, like I brought this up a little bit, I'm not the hugest Survivor fan, and I did quite well. So even if you're not a big Survivor fan and you want to be involved in something that's equally opportunistic and wonderful to be a participant in, check these guys out, Dynamic Character Productions. They are incredible individuals. And like I said, applications are open. Go and apply and be the next Survivor, and hope that your tribe has not spoken.
I love it.
Gotta get in there. Vo, I know that you are typed in on the game. How's it going? Is it still 2-1?
It is still 2-1, yes.
Okay, what second period? Okay. So we will let all of you get to your hockey game. I know that is very important. I want to be involved in more hockey. I really do. I love when the Penguins do well. So until then, this has been another episode of the greatest show on the internet, the RankKing's Court. We love and appreciate every single one of you. Until then, you can catch us always Tuesdays at 6:30 on Twitch. This has been episode 79. Signing off. You're jumping ahead.
I gotta do two things at once.
So, court is adjourned.
Court is adjourned.